guys, good afternoon, and thanks for inviting and joining us today. Today, we're going to be talking about planning your future, career pathways, and global opportunities in urban and regional planning. So before we get started, we'd like to introduce ourselves. And I'm Aminat Adesanya. I studied urban and regional planning from OAU. I graduated in 2018 and I'm currently working as a city planner. So I will hand it over to Moin if she's online to introduce herself.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. My name is Muya Kimbobola Sabina. I studied urban and regional planning, and I graduated in 2018, and currently I'm a landscape designer.
Thank you, Moin. Okay, so Yusuf, please can you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, good day, everyone. My name is Yusuf. I studied urban and regional planning in OAU. Presently, I'm a PhD student. I also work as a planner with a private firm here after my MSc, but now I'm a fully PhD student in special integrated social science in the US. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Okay. So for me, please go ahead and introduce yourself. I know you're not new here, but please go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right. So sorry, my camera will not be on for now. So my name is Oluwatofumi Aribisala. So I also finished 2018 for Mobile Regional Planning WAU. And then I did my master's in engineering, civil engineering. Like my major is disaster risk management. And I'm currently working, not working, but I volunteer and I do a lot of I do research activities. And I'm so glad to be here among you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tofumi. And our last person is Abiola Durodola. I don't think he's currently online now. He's going to join us later on.
I think he's online.
Is he online? Okay. Ipota, please go ahead and introduce yourself. Sorry for that.
Sorry, I will have to have my video of for the time being, but really happy to be here. I've had a long trip and I'm just trying to settle down right now. So my name is Abiola Judola. I studied urban and regional planning in my undergraduate as well at the Department of Urban and Regional Planning, Wafemi Awolowo University. And it's really nice to see what the Upsan team is doing as well, because I had the honor of also working with the association as a public relations officer at some point. And currently, I do so much, but all revolves around urban governance and sustainable development. I'm currently concluding my master's in regional development and planning. It's a joint master's program between Technical University Dortmund and Universidade Federal do ABC, which is UFABC in Sao Paulo, Brazil. So yeah, it's really nice to be here and have one or two discussions with you guys. And I believe we're all going to exchange knowledge, ideas, and a bit of our experiences will be enough to also stimulate good conversation and also motivate people that are trying to delve into new areas in the field of planning. Yeah, over to you, Amina.
Thank you very much, Ipota. Thank you very much, all speakers, for introducing yourself. Really appreciate that. So we are going to get started. And before we start, go into the main conversation for today, we have this icebreaker just to warm us up a little so we can talk about, so we can make you guys ready to talk, hear from you guys and also give you back things that we want to hear too. So we're going to have an icebreaker, which is a question I'm going to ask you guys just for you to think about your personal self, just for you to reflect and also think about ways that you as a planner can make your city better. So we have, when you think about the city or community you grew up in, what's one thing you wish urban planners would fix or improve? If you want to answer this question, please just signify by raising your hand and I'll unmute you, then you can go ahead to tell us. Yeah. I can go first, just for you guys to understand what the question is about. So when I think about the city I grew up in Lagos, Nigeria. So when I think about what planners would have fixed or improved at that time, maybe it would be transportation and accessibility and pedestrian safety. Our public transportation system back home then was crowded, was not reliable, was not safe, it was not secured. And so it's something I wish planners would have improved back then. But I think right now in Lagos, they're doing different new things in terms of transportation. But at that time, I'd have said public transportation. So who wants to go next? Let me see. I don't want to put you on spot 3D, but I think I'm going to put you on spot. Can you please unmute yourself and tell us what you think as your answer?
Yeah, thank you for engaging me. So growing up in a rural setting, in Lagos, you tend to like crave for more and you see people migrating from one place to the other. So that tells that I'm not the only one in that situation. So I would have loved to see a coordinated development, a development that will require that I travel less. Why do I have to travel across, many local governments, many cities, to get something simple as electronics? So these are the ways that I think I would have expect planners to do more, to put things in the reach, where I can just travel and have a well coordinated environment, you know, in terms of housing and rural development. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So who wants to go next?
So, for me, I grew up in the rural area of Ekiti. Then, no, my place is not in rural area actually. I grew up, I grew up in Ekiti State, and I grew up in several locations in Ekiti State. So, I think there are a lot of things that modern planners could have fixed because the city was actually planned according to the local planners, olden days planners. So the modern planners could have fixed a lot, like helping us with primary utilities, like primary healthcare, helping us with we don't have traffic issues, but there are a lot of road bumps or those, I think like that. Maybe that is governance issues. And disaster management, in the sense that flooding, it's just a normal thing to have a gutter, a drainage that is overflowing its boundary, and the likes. So I wish modern urban planners of nowadays would have one, and yeah, one common problem in my community is the issue of everybody just locate their house anywhere. This is my plot of land. They don't care if the road is linking anybody to anywhere. They don't care if they are backing your house. They don't care if they are using their fence to block the road. Nobody cares about that, and nobody cares to intervene too. So they just do that the way they like, and it's causing a lot of problems and internal community issues because they are busy fighting. You have blocked the road. Nobody is willing to intervene. So I think if there is a proper planning activity that is well supervised, we can have that kind of activity curtailed in my vicinity. So that is my own. My wish till now is still there. I receive complaints from home still.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, though, for me. That was interesting. And thank you, Yusuf, for contributing. So without wasting too much of time, let's get started. And I'm going to leave it to Moin to take over from here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amina. So, for this section, which is the introduction, so I will be introducing or I'll be talking about the career paths in planning, emerging areas in planning, study abroad opportunities, such as scholarship, and how to prepare as an undergraduate. And the last one will be the question and the answer, which will be taken at the end of the section. Okay. Career paths in planning. There are a lot of career paths in planning anyway. But first of all, I would like to make us understand what's the field of urban and regional planning. What do you think urban and regional planning means? I know that there are a lot of what's it called? Definitions as to what URP means and how to discover open, diverse, and impactful and global career opportunity, especially when you want to like integrate it with other area professions that are across like to planning itself. So first of all, I would look at do you mind going back to the career paths in planning? So let me just okay. So urban and regional planning, it's a multidisciplinary field that focuses on development and design of land use, the built environment and infrastructure across urban, suburbans, and rural settings. So why does urban and regional planning, why do you think it matters a lot? Cities are actually growing. Over 50% of the world population lives in an urban area. So as this city, like as it's growing, it's expected that in 50, it's expected that it's going to reach 68%. And as planners, we need solution, like sustainable solution in order for us to combat these problems. And that's where we addresses climate change, housing, transport, public space, equity, which is not just limited to that. As for planners, we are actually problem solvers. Yeah, we solve problems. So that's why we like look across different pathways in order for us to like solve these issues. There's a wide range of career collaborations and contributions that planners can actually engage in, which cuts across different countries, different regions, and different settings. And working on projects, like different projects to shape cities. Either you're working as an individual or you're working as a team. You just want to respond to all these global challenges, which I already mentioned before, which they are like climate change, transportations, and so on, urbanizations, and so on. So when looking at this problem, there has been and will continue to be problems. So it is our responsibility for us to do or to provide solutions that are inclusive. That's why we have to like understand the paths that we actually want to like go through or take on when it comes to planning. Before, when I introduced myself, I said I studied urban and regional planning back in Obafemi Awolowo University as my first degree. And I took it upon myself because I realized there are a lot of career paths you can actually do in planning. We have transportation planning, we have environmental planning, we have GIS analyst, yeah, I think so. And also we just have diverse career paths you can actually take on in landscape planning. And as for me, I decided to like look at every opportunities that I was being taught back in school. And I took on what's it called, studying landscape architecture for my second degree. And that's how I became a landscape designer right now. So as a problem solver, we planners, it doesn't mean that we should just like or I would say that as a problem solver, we need to align our academic path with whatever passion we have in planning, because we need to explore different career paths. If you're starting planning, you need to lead with both vision and tools. There are a lot of tools out there when we talk about computer-aided software that is related to planning. You need to know which one is aligned with your career path. So when choosing planning, design, policy, or tech, your career, what you are actually expected to do is like your career should be able to solve the biggest world problems, the challenges we have in the world. So I will end this by saying you should start asking yourself, what kind of impact do you want to make, or do I want to make? What are my strengths and what are my weaknesses? What skills do I need to build as a planner? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that introduction. That was really insightful, and well done. You're doing a lot of good job. Okay, Yusuf, are you ready to talk to us about emerging areas in planning?
Yeah, I can try. Let me. So my name is Yusuf, as I introduced myself earlier, and I will just try to open our minds to some of the emerging areas in planning. We have a lot of areas, and this can be a movement or a career path. So I want us to look at it from these two areas. So number one, let's look at the health and planning. There are a lot of things that we are doing in planning already that we can see the health implication. And we can see what the health sector, especially in Nigeria, what they are trying to combat now and then. And if you remember vividly, planning itself started as a health reform movement in all major cities across the globe. In Lagos, we can talk about the bubonic plague, how that influenced the establishment of planning department and other supporting departments that look into that. Same thing in the United States. Everything started just like that. Planning itself, you can say, started as a health reform movement. So, but in the days now, how are these health planning affecting our world? We are in the era of pandemic where we can't stay out of it. When we look at the consequences of what we are doing now, we can see that we still have a lot to come ahead of us when coming to health risk. Of recent, I'm listening to, so I have a concern about people around me that recently died. There are some patterns to their death, that call for a concern. I don't know if any one of us have experienced something similar to that you would just heard that, oh, this person had died. What led to that? Or what are the things? He says, oh, he just pulled his chest and he died. A lot of sudden death is emerging. And we have a lot of them even in the public sector. Like last year, we lost one of the electoral commissioner to that, one of the CP in Ogun State too, to something like that died in the office. One custom officer too that died in the office. People are just, we can see all this implication, and in the health sector, they are trying to come up with a movement or public awareness that people should check their BP. Then you ask, what is the place of planners in all this? We have a lot of things to do here. Number one, we need to look at how we plan our open spaces to give room for green. Green is one of the things that is, going to extent in our cities. We have this concept of having a developed, high-rise, everywhere that, and all these things are so dangerous to our health. There are many movements, even in the developed world, where you have enough green that people are still advocating that, no, let's reduce it. For example, there is a research that was carried out in city of St. Louis in Missouri, where they linked a short life to presence of green in the urban areas. And this is a place that the life expectancy there, is around 85 to 95. Not like what we have in Lagos, where the life expectancy is around 65. And people are still that conscious about their health and how we can use planning tools to make correction and amendments to that. And they find out that the area, the suburb, where they have more green, people are living longer and are less exposed to health risk than those who are living in the urban center. So how did they use planning tools to look into this? Is number one, looking at the zoning, that okay, let's try to reduce the requirement for minimum parking spaces that require that people will have to build a lot of areas, with concrete that will increase the land surface temperature of that place. But all these things, when you go back home, you will say that what exactly are we doing? People are dying, and there are a lot of planning implications to all this. So we planners need to open our eyes. And what will that tell us? It tells us that as a planner, we have a lot of things to do, and there are a lot of career path or opportunity in that area. If you as a planner now want to market yourself in that area, you can come up like, we will be talking about that in a minute, but those are one, and this is one of the areas that health intercept with planning. Also pandemic as well. You will see that we have series of pandemic, and there are lots to that too. I did a research that I submitted recently, about preparing for pandemic and housing development. And there is correlation between housing, type of housing, I mean rental housing, more susceptible to pandemic attack than single family housing. Then you look at how we plan our our common spaces. So tell us that there are architectural forms, architectural design also can expose us to health risk. And these are ways that planners can come in to look into this. Another thing is when you look at cardiovascular disease, heart attack and many other things, you see that when we can establish that there are a lot of things that can cause it, like obesity and many things, heat also exacerbates and make maintaining this good health living so difficult to do. So when we look at our roofing material, for example, our construction material back home, you will see that they are high heat conductor without insulation that our student can look into. These are some of the areas that planning intersect with. And now the health sector and they are working hand in hand with planners to bring relief and to further look at how this can be better addressed, and it's a career opportunity for us to to look into. Like some of you who want to study medicine, and all those things, and you find yourself planning, there are areas for you, and there are a lot of things that you can do in that same space, but acting in a different role. That is, then I want to look into economic planning as well. So economic planning here, planners use lots of strategy to accelerate economic growth, attract investment, and ensure special equity in development. So one of the tools we use as a planner here to do that is a CIP plan, capital improvement plan. A CIP plan always follows a comprehensive plan. So what that does is that it speaks directly into the city revenue, into the city budget, and how they tend to implement all the all the infrastructure that had been identified in the comprehensive plan. So you use a CIP to follow it up. Also, that can also influence maybe a tax relief. Planners use this tool to connect between what we'll have in a comprehensive plan. After having our comprehensive master plan, we have identified that these are the things we need to make this part of the city thrive. this is what we need to, bring life to the city, then the next question is, how do we want to implement it? So that is when an economic planner will come up with the CIP. The CIP will look into the city revenue and the city budget. So they will assist them to link their revenue and their budget directly with the comprehensive plan, and also look at many other areas where the city can maximize their revenue. These are some of the ways that, and we use a lot of tools here. So we use GIS tools and many other tools to achieve this. And when we talk about Pareto efficiency, I think Dr. Lodge taught us about that too. So these are the ways that all these theory come into place. Pareto efficiency just means that, okay, as we are making distribution, looking at the equity, how do we ensure that any policy government is implementing does not leave anybody worse off? That, okay, this is like, the subsidy that the current administration just removed. A lot of their policies that are directly affecting the less privileged ones should not be, if those policy are Pareto efficient. Your policy should not leave anybody worse off. Although we can benefit in different areas and different degrees, but should not leave anybody worse off. So that is what Pareto efficiency is talking about here in economic planning. And we have a lot of tools and a lot of ways planners can come into this space. The next one I want to talk about emerging. So is the political planning on urban governance. This is a very wide topic, and I know Ipoda will do more justice to this because I believe he's doing so well in that area. So just to mention a few about this, we always talk about equity, we always talk about balance, and so here planners have a huge role to play in redistricting or electoral boundaries or special justice. You can work with INEC, you can work with data collection center, you can work with all this body that has to do with urban governance here to look at how we can bring justice into it. Let me put this into context. Look at Lagos State, for example, and I think most of us from within the southwestern part of Nigeria. So look at Lagos and look at Ekiti State, for example. I'm not trying to talk down anybody that's from Ekiti here, but let's just take that as an example. Then look at how the disparity in structure, in opportunity, in population, and ask if having 3 senatorial districts in Lagos and Ekiti, how does that represent equity? So equity is much more larger than this, and also the ability to bring a good representative into all these things. Planners have a lot of roles to play, and we use a lot of data here. We use GIS tools, we use sensor data, and also ability to define political boundaries from the world, from political world to local government to the states. All these things we need to harmonize them and see how we planners coming in different ways to ensure that there is equity. People are moving from one place to the other. Here in the United States, I think they have a lot of tools in place, that ensure, that put balance into all these things. If Lagos State is doing well and people are moving from every other part of the country to the Lagos, the political representatives to always have their own way. They do that every 10 years. They look at the survey and they reshuffle and the representatives, all these things just to ensure that there's equity in people movement and also development. If the state is doing better than the other, there should be a true representative and a compensation for that in political representation. Another thing I would like to, look into this is, our planning decisions is highly politicized. So it's highly politicized, and the planners needs to come in here to ensure that there's equity in distribution and allocation of resources. Now, that moves us to having a 5-minute city. 5-minute city here is just like, another term for very similar to smart city development. Here, we are advocating for a self-sustaining city where people can get anything they want within the 5 minutes, within a 5-minute radius to their location. We are losing people to movement a lot, especially when we're from Lagos. You will know how hard people live, to make ends meet. You have to go through stress. Stress kills faster than most of these deadly diseases that we see. People just collapse on the road, people died, environmental degradation, the release of CO, and all these environmental menaces that we are facing today. A lot of them are due to long distance movements, that we can curtail. We need to start thinking about making each city. When I'm talking about city, I'm not talking, Lagos is not a city. Let's get that clear. Lagos is a state. When I'm talking about a city here, the maximum I'm talking about is a local government, because some local governments are even bigger than what we can define as a city. But here, to put it into context, let's have it in back of our mind that each local government should be self-sustaining. I want to go to work. I want to go to school. Anything that affects me, immediately, I should be able to get within my local government. So that is the essence of this 5-minute city, and having the ability to commute, whether by road, either the vulnerable road users, the cycling, and we should be able to create a walking path, a transportation network and distribution for those of the vulnerable categories, and people with less privilege, and people living with disability and all these things. We should be able to plan that everything we work should be accessible, by walking, by cycling, commuting, to work and basic facilities that everybody should have access to within the community. By this, we'll be developing a smart and healthy city. So that's just take us to the next one, which is the planning for circular economic and waste management. It's number 5. So here we need to rethink our resources flow. We have been talking about recycling. I can tell you that in most of the advanced world now, there are smarter ways to do it that they are even at the level of no waste at all. So how are they doing this? They try to ensure that the waste products from a company is another another raw material for another one. So if government wants to give you an approval for citing, okay, you are establishing this company here, they want to know what will be your waste from that, and if they are collaborating company that can use your waste as their own raw material. So we'll have the ejects and the inputs within a cycle, and that is another better for waste management mostly. We also have some of the technology people are coming with a smart waste bin where you can just drop, and that will I'm still in the slide, sorry. So, and that will automatically sort itself, sorting from source, than allowing people to do that. These are some of the smart ways that people are coming up with, waste management in that area. Then to the last one, which is talks about the smart city and digital urbanism. Here, some cities are trying to do some things here, but we still have lots to do. Like Lagos and Abuja, they are trying to digitize the urban area, and using that as a means to monitor land administration and transportation system, smarter meter for electricity and water. All these things should come into smart city development, especially in Nigeria. We have a lot of roles here to play too as a planner, and in all this that I've discussed, there are some basic tools that we need to prepare ourselves from now. not to, we are just giving us all these heads up to say that there are a lot of opportunities in planning. I can tell you that for any developing country to grow, planners are the backbones. So you hold a key role in any in any emerging cities, to become global. Planners have a lot of role to play in that area. And we are just trying to build our curiosity to see some of these opportunities. We have a wider range than this that planners can key into. But how do we know this? Just to encapsulate everything that I've said earlier, there are two things. Number one, understanding object of study. Like the dentist, for example, now you ask them, what is your object of study? They will tell you it's the teeth. All profession has their own object of study, same as planning. So planning, we have a object of study. So by that, collaborating with others, when they think about, oh, this, they should be able to do, no, we need a planner here. Number one is community participation. There's no any other profession that engage the citizens like the planners if practice well. So because what we are doing in Nigeria presently is very far from what the standard should be for community participation, because when you look at even Eastern ladders of participation, we are even at the least. So here we should be able to develop our profession, make advocacy for it to be at that level so that we can do. Then number two is human interaction with the environment, especially bringing special dimension to every aspect of the economy. Like the class, when you look at for example, the intersect of planning with economics, for example, when they are studying this using a classical economic theory, like, okay, let the forces of, like the present administration is advocating that, okay, let the forces of demand and supply affect, decide what the market structure should look like. One of the basic concerns of a planner here is it creates a spatial mismatch. If government is not coming up, we are leaving everything to buy and sell, demand and supply, we are leaving it to the highest and best use. These are some of the concepts that I think we should be familiar with as part 5. All these things without government intervening or regulating it will create a spatial mismatch. And from here, you will see planners playing a lot of roles. You can find yourself in anywhere. You can find yourself in the banking sector. You can find yourself anywhere. If you are trained as a planner, there is a way that you will do it differently. When you understand your object of studies and you put your mind into it. When you are in class, ask questions. There are a lot of things that we should prepare ourselves ahead of time. So when you're asking questions, you understand all these concepts. You can read more about all these things. There are a lot of emerging areas in planning that we can explore. Identify the one you want to work with. Look at the tools you need and identify them early. There are a lot of things coming up. There are a lot of AI coming up. AI can never take a planner's job because we'll deal directly with the people. And if people are some of the, is one of the specimen that has its own mind, and we are not dealing with them at their vulnerable stage, like maybe like a medical practitioner will do. When you are sick, you don't have any other option than just to submit yourself to them. But here we are dealing with people want, people needs, and our ability to differentiate between public opinion and public needs. These are some of the things that we'll deal with in everyday practices and planning. So thanks so much.